Welcome to the Outsmart Burnout Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Zarya Rubin, a functional medicine doctor, an international speaker, and a burnout badass because I've been there myself. After walking away from my own high-stress medical career, I discovered how to break free from burnout to reclaim my passion, purpose, and joy. And now I'm here to help you do the same. From science-backed tips to time-saving hacks, and hopefully some aha moments that just might change your life. So sit back, relax, and let's do this. Dr. Nikia Smith is a board-certified anesthesiologist, wellness coach, and founder of She is Fire Forged. After burning out not once, but twice in medicine, she now helps high-achieving women of color recognize burnout before it becomes a crisis, rest without guilt, and build lives that feel as good as they look on paper. Through her Reclaim method, coaching, retreats, and leadership, she inspires women to spot the simmer before it becomes a blaze and actually choose ease over survival mode. Well, that's exactly the kind of stuff that we talk about here on the show. So excited to welcome you to Outsmart Burnout, Dr. Nikia. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
Yeah, well, there is so much synergy and so much overlap with what you do and what I do and all of the things that we think are important and valuable for women, especially high achieving women, women in medicine. But I usually start at the beginning because people always ask me, "Oh, how did you get into this work?" And I'm like, "Well, let me tell you. It's called firsthand experience. Do what you know." So
Mm,
talk to us about your own challenges and experiences and how you went through burnout not once, but twice. Because you know what? I always say if it happens once, it can happen again if you don't fix the stuff that caused it.
that's the part, right? You have to fix the underlying problems. Otherwise, you just go right back into it. So I burned out the first time shortly after moving to Las Vegas in 2021. And that would have been my fourth job working in medicine. And that was the pinnacle of burnout. The crying, screaming, anger, sadness, rage. I was just overly emotionally stimulated, numb, and at that point where I was ready to walk away from medicine. And that's when I knew that something was wrong because I was like, this has been years in the making, years of testing and sacrificing and training. And so to make me get to the point where I was ready to just walk away from it all and go work at Trader Joe's, I knew something was wrong. And I'm like, what is wrong with me? I'm like Googling it and I'm like, oh, I'm burnt out. I'm like, this is it. So that was when I really learned about burnout. And as I started doing more research and I read Fierce Self-Compassion by Kristen Neff and got a therapist and started just like working on myself, I realized I had been in the process of burning out over the course of many years. And this was just what I called the boiling point. And so I was like, wow, this is crazy. Like looking back at all of the things I experienced, all of the feelings and emotions I had over the course of time, thinking that changing jobs would make it better. But of course, changing jobs without changing anything fundamental won't really do anything. And that was where my journey really began. My own personal journey with recovering from burnout, sharing my story with other friends and physicians, and allowing them to kind of, have their own moment of realizing maybe I'm on the path to burnout. What should I be doing to prevent that? And moving through with not just changing jobs, but with changing how I lived and how I worked in medicine. And so that second time, as I felt myself becoming burnt out more, like, I'm like, "Oh, thank God." Like, so if my first burnout was a complete 10 out of 10 crash and burn, my second burnout only got to about a 3 out of 4 when I realized if I keep down this path, we're gonna get there again. What can I do now? And so that's the point where I'm like, you can just stop it en route and kind of reverse it. And it's easier to reverse if you're not all the way at a 10. It's easier to reverse if you're at a 3 or a 4. And so that's just kind of my personal story. And I'm trying to catch women who are in that simmer. That's what I call the simmer of burnout, to help them make these changes before they completely burn out and leave medicine. But if you're already at that complete burnout phase, I definitely wanna pull you back because I think women in medicine are amazing. We know there's plenty of research that shows that patients have better outcomes. Patients do, um, have better outcomes, but also to have better experiences when they have a female physician. But there's also research that shows that we're leaving medicine earlier and more quickly than our male counterparts. So we have to do what we can to take care of ourselves so that we can continue to provide this care for our patients. And then all other women as well. Other women are just high achieving. You have students, you have a faculty, you have workers. So we have to just make sure that as women are excelling in all aspects professionally, that we're also taking care of ourselves personally.
Mm. Yeah, wow. So many things to dig into there. I love everything that you talked about, especially the concept of like changing jobs might not fix the problem if you don't fix all the other elements. But I just wanted to go back to the initial burnout. And it's interesting because you talk about the phases and the simmer. And then, if you have a pot of boiling water, I always use boiling water analogies. It's
Mhm.
so funny in my talks. And then it's
Yeah.
like it's bubbling, it's going, but then it's like really boiling, and then it kind of boils over, and then
Yeah.
it's a hot mess, literally. But so it doesn't happen overnight. It's not a kind of one and done, sudden change, sudden shift. I'm totally fine. Oh, I'm totally burned out. Like it
Right.
is a gradual process. And I do think it is so important to recognize these little signs and symptoms and warnings. I call it the check engine light that we get
Yes.
along the way. And so looking back, what did you not see coming that, in retrospect, you could say, this was happening. Like all of these things were definitely warning signs and definitely contributors to my burnout.
There's a lot of warning signs that I think have become normalized, especially by like hustle culture. When I look back, I think one of my earliest signs was like starting to get insomnia. And then when I look back at my insomnia, it's like it wasn't that I was tired. Like I was dead tired. I came home from work tired, could not wait to go to sleep, but then couldn't fall asleep. And I couldn't fall asleep because my mind would not shut down. I was ruminating on all of the things that happened throughout the day, all the things that are going to be happening in the future, and those are just not a good place to be, right? So the insomnia starts, then you're starting the day, you're already tired. Like I woke up dreading the day for almost like a year straight. Like for a solid 365 days, I would wake up every day that was for work and be like I can't do this.
Yeah. Yep. Same
But
girl.
it's
Yeah.
become so
Can't get out of
normal. Like,
bed. Can't do
yeah,
this. Is
I
this
was like,
really the rest of my life is going to be like? Like, is this
and
what I signed up for or
it
not? Or,
is. And then you talk to people, you might hear some things like, well, that's just what adulting is, or that's just how it is. And then you're kind of like, oh, so I'm the problem because like everybody has accepted this as the norm, but I just can't
yes.
accept it.
Yes. I that you literally took the words out of my mouth. I was like, I guess this is just what adulting is. Like you're
Hmm.
miserable, your life is miserable, you're always exhausted, you're always stressed, you can't sleep, I had nightmares every night, can't get out of bed in the morning. Just you feel like you're almost like going through the motions and you're a zombie in your own life. Like you're a ghost, you're a shell of your former self, but you don't
Definitely.
even notice it because it's just become so normalized and so accepted. Yeah, I could not agree more with that
Yep. You
assessment. And
are.
yeah, and I mean, if you're not sleeping, this is like, hello, this is a wake up call to anyone
Mhm.
listening right now. If you're not sleeping, that is not sustainable.
No.
You can push through for a while. When you're in college, you can pull all nighters. When you're in med school, you can do, call and shifts and residency and all that and be on call, not sleep, stay up late, go out on the weekends. You can sort of push through that. It's
Mhm.
not great. It's if it's, you know, temporary, a short season, but when it becomes the new
Yeah.
normal, and as soon as you get into your 30s and 40s, forget it. Like, all bets are off.
Yes, it's definitely a lot different. Like you said, you become like a zombie. I was moving through life on autopilot. Like I wasn't really in like tapping in or engaged with like how I was feeling. I was just getting stuff done. And I became, like, highly irritable if things didn't go, like, how I mean, we all have control issues, that's how we got this far in life, but it just, like, the irritability and the short-temperedness, it got worse, and I think it's just because I was just so emotionally depleted that I just could not, like, cope anymore.
Yeah, and that's when the compassion fatigue sets in,
Mhm.
when
Yep.
you just have nothing left to give and everything is you're on your last nerve, you're beyond irritated, and then you start to, like, feel resentful of, a colleague, a nurse colleague asking you for something, or a patient needs something or whatever, or this is they're paging you about this, that, and you're just like, "Stop.
Yeah.
I can't I have nothing left to give." And
There's
then and
nothing
then that's
left.
and that's when the resentment kicks in and the irritability and the short fuse and the snapping at people, and then you're just like, "Am I a bitch or am I burned out? Like, what is going on?" But lucky
Yes.
for you, like, the term so when I burned out, it was in 2006,
Mhm.
2007, so that was a while ago, and
Yeah.
we didn't really have the language. It wasn't
Nope.
there, it wasn't in the culture, there wasn't as much awareness. I I literally had no clue. I was
What was
burned out
happening?
till 10, 15 years later. I had no clue. I just thought, I don't know, I guess I'm having a nervous breakdown. But so luckily you were able to kind of Google it and put the pieces together and figure out like, crap, like this is
Yes.
this is not good. And so what steps did you then take in order to make a change? Because it can be really hard and you think, what do I do? Do I have to quit my job? Do I have to leave medicine?
Mhm. It was a lot because that's the spectrum, right? Like, on the one end, you're like, "I'm completely leaving medicine, I'm done." But then as you do the work, you realize that you can burn out in any job if you don't have those systems, those boundaries, those values, that clarity in place. So, the first step was for me, I got a therapist and I already had a coach, so kind of just talking about it, about, like, how I was actually feeling and not just what was happening in my life. Because I think it's easy to talk about what's happening in your life and not how you feel about it. And that was the part of me moving on autopilot and getting really clear with my values. Because I can write my values down, but when I look at how I was moving and how in the system, especially in healthcare, they're like, if I say I value connection, community, and family and friends, but all I'm doing is taking overtime and working extra shifts because they're asking me, I'm like, I'm not living aligned with my values. Like, all of this time I'm working extra is not allowing me to spend time with my family and my friends and my community. So those were all part of it. And then I had to do like it's like a full thing. That's why I tell people, I burned out over years. Each part of the burnout, I neglected some part of myself and I had to slowly build those back up. So I wasn't working out. I wasn't eating right. I wasn't sleeping well. I wasn't drinking water, the basics of like humanity, and they're just gone. So I was like, listen, I'm drinking water. I'm saying no. I'm going to the bathroom. And so those things, I slowly worked on those. I'm starting moving my body. I got a dog, started walking my dog, getting outside in nature. So, like, it's just the small things that became like my new habits that kind of really help you. Because people always say, oh, I'll just take a week off and do nothing. I'm like, one, that's not enough to cure burnout. It's
Mm-mm.
just going to give you some rest. But two, when was the last time a woman took a week off and actually did nothing? I'm like, "Oh, so no laundry, no cooking, no grocery shopping, nothing." And I'm like, "You're
Impossible.
not gonna do nothing. You're gonna take a week off and you're gonna do a whole 'nother full-time job, which is maintaining the house. So, let's not tell ourselves that lie. Let's figure out the balance there." So
Yeah, I think people don't realize just how long it can take to recover from
mhm,
burnout. It can be months, it can be years, depending on how long it's been going on for, what state your nervous system is in, what state your adrenal system is in. Like,
yes.
it's not a quick fix. It's not a like, "Oh, let's take a weekend off or even a week off for vacation." And that's actually one of the ways that I help people figure out that they are in burnout, because if you do take a weekend, you sleep in, whatever, you take a week off and go to the Caribbean, lie on a beach, and you come back and you are right back where you were,
Mhm,
that's not you're tired and I needed a week off. That's burnout.
yep. It's a burnout. That's what I said. It's deeper. Like I said, it's deeper than rest. It becomes your nervous system. It becomes your boundaries and your habits and how everything is functioning around you. And so that's like the big picture of it all. Like, yeah, we can start with rest because that helps you get a little bit more clarity and kind of decrease that brain fog. But we have to realize that it's bigger than that. And that's why people are like, oh, I'm exhausted. I'm like, are you? Because like, if you have you done these things? Like, yeah, I've tried to go to bed earlier. I've tried to get more sleep. I've taken the weekend off and I still am exhausted. I said, that's because you're not exhausted, you're burnt out. Like
Mhm.
that's why. And so I think that, decrease like talking about it more and like destigmatizing it and letting people know
Yes.
that it's not a personal failure because they'll say at your job that if you're burnt out, that means you're not practicing good enough self-care. And I'm like, no, that's not what this is. Just trying to get that word out there. Like, yeah, self-care is part of taking care of yourself, but recovering from burnout is also bigger than that. You can't have the systems. If you go take a whole week away in the Caribbean or go to a spa and you come back to a toxic system, you're going to burn out again.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, we had a really great episode a couple weeks ago with, Dr. Sandra Dalton Smith, and she came
Yes,
on
I
and
love
talked
her.
about the 7 types of rest and how just exhaustion and physical exhaustion is just one part of it. It's the one we focus on most often, but it's not
Mhm.
the whole story, and you
It's
have to
not.
really see the bigger picture and figure out in what areas are you doing too much, and what areas are you not doing enough, and
Yes.
that you are missing things like you mentioned, your dog and nature and like exercise and like taking that
Yes.
time for yourself and focusing on the things that bring you joy and creativity and passion and help reset things. It's not
Yes.
simply about I need to rest more, like I need to sleep more, although
Yes.
that's a big one. But yeah, so
Yeah, I love her book, and I love social rest
yeah.
because I
Yes.
find that people think that burnout is like recovery for burnout, it feels like an isolated event. Like, I'm just gonna go into a cocoon and take care of myself and sleep and do all this stuff. And I'm like, no, that might be the first step, but like the creativity, the interactions with people who actually charge you, the sharing of these stories, this is the stuff that fully recharges you and gets you kind of tap back into like who you are.
Yeah, and that and it's different for every person. Some
Mhm.
people need more social time, some people need less social time, and they need either more introverted, more extroverted. It's about what fuels you or what type of creativity and all of these aspects that we kind of tend to just overlook or
Neglect.
think it's a generic, like, one size fits all, self-care bubble
Yeah.
bath kinda thing, but it goes much deeper than that, and so when you burned out the second time, tell us a
Mhm.
bit about how you were able to spot it quicker, nip it in the bud quicker, and what that recovery looked like compared to the first time, which I'm guessing was more intensive, longer.
Yes. The first one, it took me a solid year to feel somewhat normal again, right? I mean, if I had to give numbers, it would be like one full year for me to feel like 70%. And so I even wasn't like 100% yet, but I went back to work. I changed jobs, but in changing jobs, I went into it differently, right? I didn't just change jobs, but changing jobs helps because at that point, I already had the boundary set. So when I changed my job, I was able to establish those boundaries from the beginning. Those boundaries can be hard to establish if you've been working somewhere for a long time and have already been taken advantage of or seen as like, manipulated into being the team player. So I changed jobs, but went in with the boundaries of like, I'm not doing X, Y, and Z. And that worked for a while. So I went from a hospital job to an outpatient job. So then that secured nights and weekends for me to have my personal time and family time. And as I was
So
going through that, I
important.
did yeah, so I was like, "What is my value and how do I move like, how do I establish it?" And so, in doing that job, that was fine for a couple of years, and then I found myself starting to burn out, but it was a little bit different, right? Like, it was the different type of burnout because at this point, the job didn't feel like it was overly draining me, but I also was stepping into my new role of coach and retreat host and entrepreneur, and so I was like, "I'm not gonna burn out solely from my medical work, but I'm gonna burn out from trying to do all of this stuff. And I find that this part of my healing journey, which is like the coaching and the sharing of my story and hosting the retreats and helping women, I find to be equally as important as if or equally as important, if not more important than my work in medicine. And so I was like, I need to work less. Otherwise, yeah, I was like, I need to work less because I'm already feeling myself start to burn out from trying to work basically two full-time jobs. And so that was when I was like, my boundary is now going to be this. I want to work part-time in medicine and I want to devote and give this part of me the full time and energy that it needs and deserves. And so that was my next step. So luckily, I was like, I can see if I keep down this road and I can keep telling myself, well, work isn't that bad. I can keep doing this. But eventually I will burn out because I'm doing too much. And I already knew that this wasn't going to end well. So that was the second time. And so luckily, I was able to identify sooner, like, okay, I'm getting to this point where I'm just like more tired, more irritable, and getting a little bit out of myself. Let me figure out now how to prevent this from going further. And just even having that plan made me feel like emotionally and mentally like, okay, 'cause that's the burden. The burden is thinking like, "How am I gonna keep doing this? How am I gonna find time? How am I gonna make this work? How?" And that is draining. So when I said, "Listen, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna cut back work to part-time," I not instantly, but I felt like a lot of that burnout burden just, relieving from my body, and I was like, "Oh, thank God. Like, this is it. Like, I've now have set a clear boundary, a clear path, and I'm gonna prevent myself from going down a road that's gonna end up terribly."
Yeah, I think that that's so smart and it's so apt that we do expend a lot of energy trying to make something that's not working work and to try to make the impossible possible. I mean, there just aren't necessarily enough hours in the day, but we
Mm-mm.
get stuck in a mindset. Obviously, our brain and our nervous system is wanting to keep us stuck in the familiar and in the everyday and what we are currently doing, doesn't want us to do something different. That's too
Yes.
scary.
It's
It's like,
scary.
no, no, you must keep going. You must keep doing this in this
Mhm.
way, figure it out. And so when
Yeah.
folks come to me, I work with folks, they're like, well, but I can't, nothing can change, nothing can shift. This is my life. I can't change anything. And I'm like, well, how's that working out for you? Like,
Not
because,
great.
because, and once you're able to make that shift and that mindset shift of, but what if I could? But what if I could let something go? And so that's a huge step and a huge decision to decide, hey, guess what? I'm going to become a coach. I'm going to coach instead of being a doctor. I'm going to try
Mhm.
to like work at this and make money doing this and like and call myself a coach rather than well, I'm a physician. I'm an anesthesiologist. I'm a coach.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a coach. Really? Like, what do
Yes.
you do? And like, but what's it like
Mhm.
not doing medicine full time? Don't you feel like you've given up so much and taken a step back? Blah, blah, blah. Okay, I could go on and on. But like, and
Yep.
it's also the stories we tell ourselves of like, oh, this is maybe not good enough, or this isn't prestigious enough, or is this a real job? And so, how
Mhm.
did you come to terms with all of that?
So, it's definitely something, right, that it takes time because you will be apprehensive. I mean, not you, like, I was apprehensive, and not because I didn't think that anything wrong was wrong with coaching. I had a coach, but it was just like, why would I leave medicine to do this? Or what is the balance? Or again, like I said, what will people think? And even without the coaching thing, people have a lot of opinions about my life. And so it's just like, no matter what you do, people are gonna have opinions about your life. So you might as well at least live the life you want. So at least their opinions can be, based on something real. Like if I say working full time,
Preach.
then they're right. If I say working full time, people are gonna be like, oh, she cares about money or traveling or whatever they're gonna project upon me. And I'm gonna be like, that's not true. Otherwise, I can work part time and they're like, oh, she never wants to be at work. She wants to do this. And I can also say, that's not true. No matter what they say, it's going to not be true. So you have to just not be so concerned with that and just kind of focus on like the actual impact you want to leave. And mine was like, at the end of the day, I think it was Stephen Covey or somebody has like you do a thing where they write your eulogy. And it's like, I do not want my eulogy to be, oh, she worked really hard to become a doctor and then she worked really hard as a doctor, but she missed a lot of events but she always sent us a check. Like that's not the legacy that I want. I want the legacy to be like, actually, she showed up when it was important. I felt like she was a safe space for me. I felt like she helped me get through these times. Like these are the things I want people to say about me. And so I wasn't able to work in that capacity if I'm exhausted from working as a doctor and depleted and burnt out. And so that's the part I had to just get real with myself and be like, well, I don't care what they say now. I care about what they're going to say about me later.
So true. Well, we're going to shift gears a little bit and talk about some of the big topics. You talk a lot about the concept of the third shift. So,
Yes.
not just what happens at work, but tell us a little bit more what that means cuz I have an idea, but it is some other stuff. So, I've heard of second shift. So, it's first shift, second shift, third shift. Talk us
Yes.
through that.
So the third shift. So I kind of skip over second shift, right? I am childless by choice. So my second shift is still like my housekeeping and, keeping the house together. But there's a word I learned called kinkeeping. And I think it's Dutch, but it's bigger than the housekeeping, right? So you're going to go to work all day and you're going to work. And then you're going to have to decide, go home and take care of home, do laundry, go grocery shopping, clean the house, do dishes, walk your dog, take care of the kids. Maybe you're taking care of your parents or some other stuff. That is already two full-time jobs. But the kin keeping is what people often forget about in the second shift. It's like above that. That is keeping track of all of the birthdays. That is keeping track of all of the appointments. That's actually being the mental touch point. Like the reason that they call you when your kids are sick at school and not your husband. Like those are the things that are really, really end up emotionally
Mm,
draining a lot of the women I coach. And so they're just like, yeah, it's not necessarily the fact of this. It's like, oh, let's have a birthday. But it's the fact that if they decide to have the birthday, I have to do all of this. And that's in addition to taking care of your home. So if you're having a party at your home, you have to clean the home and then clean it before and after the party. Make sure you have toilet paper and hand soap and all this stuff. But then you're also calling the caterer, calling the balloon guy, setting up the pool guy, like all of these things. I'm like, it is a lot. And I think that women overlook how much they are drained mentally and emotionally by managing multiple people's entire lives.
yeah. Yeah. It really is. It really is so much invisible mental load that we
Mhm.
carry. And yeah, there's a great episode. I think it's episode 2 of the
Yes.
show way back where you have Paige Connell on, and she talks about the mental load of motherhood and just how beyond overwhelming and exhausting that can all be. And it's unseen work and unpaid work as well. And yeah, and the sort of the responsibility of, like, having to make everything, like, special and
Yes.
create memories and create magic, and, I'm an Enneagram 7, so that's my love language is, like, always making things special, and I love it, I love doing it, but it is a lot of burden and a lot of work, and
Yeah.
yeah, especially if you have kids, but also if you have, deep relationships and friendships and other circles that you're trying to keep and maintain. And that's hard too, especially as we get
It's a
older.
lot.
Everyone's busy, everyone's doing their thing, and you want to organize an event. And it's like, how the heck are we going to get these people together in one room? It's
Never.
exhausting. It's exhausting. My neighbor recently planned an event. She's like, oh, hey, can you ladies all come over this certain day? Blah, blah, blah. And everyone was like,
No.
"Yup." And it
Oh, what?
happened, and I was like, "Wait, wait, wait, wait. How did that work out? You threw out a date, everyone said yes, we all showed up."
That's
That
crazy.
never happens, but it just goes to show that, like, sometimes you just gotta do it.
Yeah.
You just gotta, like, be like, "Well, how about next Thursday?" And we're like,
Mhm.
"Okay, great." And then we all came,
Yeah.
but it's hard.
Yeah, it's amazing. Because like, someone's like, "Oh, yeah, my husband, he'll do the grocery shopping." And I'm like, "Does he make the list? Does he go through the cabinets and make the entire list and then go shopping?" And they're like, "No, I make the list and he goes." I'm like, "Okay, so you're still carrying part of that burden, right?" Like, you can
100%.
they never, like, check the cabinets. Do I need laundry detergent? Do we need toothpaste? Like, go through the house. Like, that's the mental things that we're keeping track of. So if someone's at the store, you're like, "Actually, we need these 5 things." That's just in your brain taking up a
Yeah.
lot of energy.
Oh, yeah. No, no, my husband has never spontaneously generated a grocery list in his life, and if I send him to get stuff, let me tell you,
Yeah. It's like, "Oh, which one? This one? This one?
it
How about
doesn't work
this?"
out too well sometimes, yeah.
It's like, "You've
You
been
have to
drinking the
be
same."
very specific.
Like, "I've bought the same detergent for the past 5 years." He's like, I don't recognize. You can't even recognize 'cause I can't recognize what the container looks like or what the scent is or anything." So it's like, it's a lot. We expend a lot. And so just, like, sometimes just you can't release all of it, but just sometimes acknowledging, "Yeah, wow, I do the most, like, no wonder." And just, like, patting yourself on the back for that, like, that is a whole thing. Like, that's
Mhm,
a lot
mhm.
of information and knowledge that is stored in your brain that is keeping you, running in the
Yeah,
background. Like, your brain is always
yeah.
running in the background, and you're just like, "This is
And
what's
it's
in
like
there."
a computer, and it's like when that hard drive starts to get full,
Mhm.
it's not running
As fast,
properly,
right? It's
and you're
like
just like, "Oh my god, I can't even do these tasks because
mhm.
I have so much running in the background." So many programs are running in the background, and then that does also drain your energy, your focus, your productivity, like, all of and your mental, emotional sort of well-being, because 'cause you've just, like
Yeah,
there's always something nagging at you, like, "Oh my god, am I forgetting this? I gotta do this," because it's yeah, it's a lot, and it's hard to you also talk a lot about, like, always being the strong one.
yes.
And the one that people rely on, the one that people depend on. You talked about being the team player and like you're always that person. You're always there. You're always going the extra mile, always doing that, carrying of all the burden. So, what does that mean to you about being the strong one? And what is that performance sort of costing us?
So, it is costing you a lot. Each person is different, but it does cost a lot because every time you are the dependable, reliable, strong one for somebody else, but don't have that reciprocated, you start to feel away, right? Like you're like where the resentment can build, like, oh, I'm always here for everybody. Are they here for me in that same way or that same capacity? And it just depends on kind of how your relationships are. But we've seen it. We've seen it. And so we've embodied this like strong one, I can do everything. But you said you can do everything, but you won't be doing it well, and you won't be doing yourself any favors by trying to do everything. So, can we release some things that are not as important, do the things that are important better, like taking care of ourselves and showing up in certain capacities and just truly being a little bit more focused? I think that's part of the problem is like you can't focus on everything, right? It's like focus is literally means to focus and to pick. And we think we can focus on everything. And that's like that burner story where it's like, oh, you could focus on your work or your house or your health or your family. But if you focus on everything, you will be depleted and not being your best self in any capacity. And that's the part that you lose. Like you think I'm handling everything, but you're like you're tired. You're not there. It's like you can try to work and work out and go to this event, but by the time you go to that event, where does your energy level? Are you really going to enjoy it? Or are you going to be thinking, I wish I was at home in bed? And so you're not really doing everything because you're not enjoying the moment. You're stretched too thin.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, I mean, it's like that what's that meme that's like, "Clean house, happy family, sanity, pick 2." But,
Yeah,
like,
not saying
you can't have all 3.
you can't have it all, man. It's literally impossible. So,
Yeah, but we keep trying to have it
mhm.
all, and I think that is what drives a lot of our exhaustion and our burnout, and maybe you can have it all, but just not necessarily all at the same time.
At the same time, and I think that the women who do have it all, like you have it all exteriorly, but that's the part when you're, like, neglecting yourself and you're not taking good care of yourself, and so it's like, is the expense of you worth it? And I don't think it ever is.
Mm, and it's that unwillingness also to ask for help. I
Mhm.
think that we're very afraid to ask for help, either, like, psychologically, financially, just, like, feeling like, "Oh, it's not worth it," or "I don't deserve it. I can't have someone help clean my house. I can't, take a rest. I can't" like, all of these things. I can't have my husband go get the groceries. There's sort of these mental blocks that we have.
Mental for sure. And that's why it's like, I always like to tell people my example. I'm like, listen, I don't have kids and I don't clean my house at all. So just let that be your permission. I mean, if I had kids, I definitely wouldn't clean my own house, but I actually just hate cleaning my house. I've never enjoyed it. I find
Girl,
it to be
same.
tedious. And yeah, I just don't like to do it. And so if I do it, I'm going to like stop and delay. And it's going to take me a whole weekend where I can pay someone to do in 2 hours. Like it doesn't make any sense. So I'm like, I
Mhm,
hate it. Like
mhm, mhm.
I don't like to cook either. So I'm like, "Listen, I don't like to do any of these things." So I'll just say like, "Oh, I have the time to do it and I choose not to do it."
I yeah, I well, I love cooking, but there is that age-old problem of what's for dinner, and I
I hate
sometimes
thinking
I'm
about
just
what's for
like,
dinner.
I'm like, "Do I really have to figure this out every day forever?"
It's terrible.
Yeah. So yeah, if anyone has a good solution to that. I mean, I've done like the meal prep kits and stuff, those boxes.
Yeah.
Those are pretty good. I was sort of joking the other day. I was like, I might have to restart one of those because I'm getting bored with
I
all
use
of
a
my
box.
ideas for cooking. Like I need new ideas because, but I do love to cook and I love food and yeah. So, but yeah, it's just that mindset adjustment of I am allowed to take a break. I'm allowed to ask for help. I'm allowed to say no. Like all of these permission slips that we
Yep.
don't
Have
always
to
give
give ourselves.
ourselves. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to give
Yeah.
it to yourself. And that's what I'll give it to you. Don't do that. Don't. I'm like, if you don't have the capacity to not, then don't. Like, I'm about
This
to
is
start not.
this is your permission slip right now. But you
This
sorry,
is it.
you're about to
Also,
stop. What?
doing laundry. I'm figuring that out next.
Ooh. Well, let me tell you, I've stopped folding laundry.
That's the part I hate.
Yeah,
The
so I do the
folding.
laundry, but then when the cleaning lady comes, she folds the laundry
Noted. I'm gonna ask about that. See, there we
because
go.
that's a game changer right there.
That is good. See, that's a good. I'm like, yeah, I should. Oh, I should. I can when right when she comes, I could put it in the washer and dryer. Then she can fold it and stack it in my. Okay, that is.
Right.
See, so I have to share these stories so we can get these
Yeah.
tips. That's a great
Yeah.
tip.
Exactly, and it's simple, it's not that
Yeah.
complicated, but I was just sort of like, "What am I gonna do?" Because it's not the doing of the laundry
Yes,
that's
it's
the
the folding.
problem, it's the post-laundry management that is
Mhm.
problematic, and then it, like, accumulates, and then you've got clothing mountains in the
Yes.
laundry room, and nothing is happening, and you're like, "Now where are my clean clothes?" They're all wrinkled, it's a mess.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
pulling
not.
things out the dryer. I can live out the dryer for like 2 weeks. I'm like, I don't wanna take the clothes out. I just pull things out one at a time.
Exactly. Yep. That's kinda how we're living, but it was like, "Okay, there's gotta be a better way for this," and I don't know, so some friends are like, "Oh, we do clothing folding parties, like, while we watch a favorite show or something on Sunday nights," and I'm like,
Nah.
I just wanna, like, Netflix and chill on Sunday
Yes, I
nights,
like
I
this. I'm
don't
asking my housekeeper. I'm like, "Is it okay if I just leave a load in the dryer and you just fold it?" That's the next time she comes, I'm definitely asking her that.
Okay, see? See, we're changing lives here on Outsmart Burnout. Alright, let's switch gears again, and we're gonna talk about, the elephant in the room is that you specialize in helping women of color, and specifically Black women in medicine, succeed and really overcome burnout that is compounded
Mhm,
by race and gender
mhm.
and the workload and the experience of being a Black woman in medicine and what that's like,
Yes.
and yeah. So tell us all the things about what you focus on and how you empower women and what some of these additional burdens are. I mean, because it's like that's a whole other shift. There's like the
Yeah.
fourth shift of
Yes.
dealing with, microaggressions and covert racism and all of these things that are still so present in our everyday lives and society and yes, I'm not a woman of color per se, but I am a Jewish woman and things ain't great right now, so
Yes.
I definitely feel that just like that constant, it's like a constant thing that's just kind of
Mhm.
always there nagging at you and like yeah, talk to us about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's the thing, right? You're a woman, so then they're always gonna be like, "Oh, my nurse just came." Nothing is wrong with nursing, but they're
Yep.
always gonna say
Yep.
you're the nurse. Like, I just introduced myself to you as your doctor. I'm like, "Yeah, the nurse is
Yep.
here," or "I'm the
That
nutrition."
that
"Oh,
happened to me. They're like, "Oh, I'm sorry, dear. Can you come back later? We're waiting for the doctor."
like, that's me. Hi, it's hello, it's me."
I was like, "Hi, I got good news and bad news. Your wait is over."
Yes, and so a few years back, I asked a male colleague, he was the exact same age as me, and I said, "Do people ask you how old you are, how long you've been doing this?" And he was like, "No." I said, "I get asked every single day, 'Oh, hey, I'm Dr. Smith, your medicine. How old are you?'" And I'm like, "I'm old enough." And they're like, you just have such nice skin. You just look so young." I'm like, "Yeah." But then
Mhm.
that's draining for me to always be like, "Oh, yeah, it's fine." Like, I'm old enough. I've been doing this for a long time. And to
And then
answer that question.
there's the assumption then that you're maybe not competent or qualified.
You're right.
And then you have to,
And
like,
so
prove that on top of just doing your job.
so that part, yeah. So you're just like, okay. Okay, like, this is how we're already gonna start. I'm already drained from, like, this fake smile because now I'm just like, "What are you talking," like, "You didn't ask him. This guy's your surgeon is younger than me. You didn't ask him how
Mhm.
old he was or how long he's been doing this. I remember when he was a resident and I was already an attending,
Mhm.
but
Mhm.
let's not get into this." So, that's part of it, and then, dealing in anesthesia, especially, like, in the OR, it's difficult because, like, when you're on certain floors or certain units, there's definitely a clear hierarchy. Like, there's, there's tiers, right? You have the doctor, you have the charge nurse, you have this, you have that. But like when you are like the doctor and then the other person that's in charge is also the doctor, there's a lot of conflict sometimes with surgeons. And so
Mm.
managing that is very interesting. So for dealing with microaggressions and dealing with like covert racism or people blatantly bringing up political topics with the intention of provoking you or riling you up or kind of seeing how you react, those things happen. They happen a lot, And so just dealing with them and having compassion and still just taking care of the patients in an unbiased way, it is very draining. And that's where you talked about compassion fatigue. But I think that having women who are in a similar space and just able to validate your feelings and say, yeah, I hear where you're coming from, it helps. Right. Like, so you make these connections, you share these stories just so that other women know that they're not alone. And also, as we share publicly, is to let patients and other providers know, like, we see you, we see what you're doing, and there's nothing we could really do about it, but just know that we're clocking it. And maybe that might make them start to realize like how they're moving and how they're contributing to that. So, but it's like you said, there's so much proof. Like women, patients treated by women have better outcomes. So like you can't fight that. You can't fight that fact. And so you can say all you want about women in healthcare and women physicians or women providers, but we're providing excellent care. And so maybe you should stop trying to undermine us.
Yeah, I mean, those statistics are pretty shocking. Women have better patient outcomes. We work longer hours. We
And
chart
paid less.
more, paid less, and we also lose the survival advantage over men in terms of heart disease and the protection that being a woman has. Women in medicine lose that advantage, and that is shocking to me.
We deal with a lot. It's very stressful. Even on your best day, being a woman in medicine is stressful. And
Mhm.
so it's good that we have the support of each other, the permission and validation from each other, and that we just kind of continue to, look out for each other in that way because we can't necessarily rely on anybody else to do it.
Mm. And then being a woman of color is a whole other layer, and
Yeah.
it's coming from patients, and it's coming from colleagues
Yes.
too. And that's like, yeah, that's just it's just one more thing that erodes your ability to cope and have the energy and to just like keep pouring in to this very demanding job. And so you
Yeah.
organize retreats and you help get women together and just kind of gather and share this. And
Yes. Because, like I said, I do believe you start your burnout recovery, you start it kind of in isolation, you get coaching, you get therapy, you do these self-care things, you prioritize all your kinds of rest and your neuro, regulation, but I truly believe that the next step, like the ultimate healing and thriving and the betterment of you and everybody else happens in community. We start sharing these stories, you start, just connecting in a deeper way. That is the true engagement. Like you can engage with yourself, you can tap back in with yourself and your feelings. But when you engage with others and realize how much of an impact just connecting with somebody and sharing and validating them has on their life, it makes your life better.
I love it. Okay,
I mean, I know you know.
we're moving into the final segment of the show,
Yeah.
which is called the rapid fire round, where I ask you like pretty, short, snappy, but sometimes deep questions and just, answer however you feel like answering. Okay, coffee, tea, or something else?
Coffee.
Coffee.
Yeah,
Same.
espresso girl.
Yeah, same. I've got my espresso machine. It's my best friend in the
Yeah.
morning. Although I do love a matcha latte too. I'm a matcha latte girly.
I've
Yeah.
recently started I did not like matcha for a long time, but I realized they can be very bad, and then I had a really good one. I said
Uh-huh.
the ones I had were, like, terrible, but this one was really good. I was like, "Okay."
You can have bad ones, but the good ones and I always get like, I find with oat milk, it's really good
Yeah.
with oat milk. For some
Mhm.
reason, that combo is just like,
It's
mm,
better.
it's perfect,
Mhm.
and a little bit of vanilla or a little bit of lavender,
Mm.
that's the good stuff. Okay, are you a morning person or a night owl or something in between?
Now, an absolutely a morning person, and going into anesthesia, I was definitely not, and I was like, "Why would I pick this?" But it, like, grew on me, and now I love getting up and having a nice early, slow morning.
That's pretty much how I ruled out surgery. I was like, I am so not a morning it's so funny because my husband is not a morning person and he's a surgeon. And I'm like,
What?
how do you do this? But yeah, I am like aspiring to be more of a morning person,
Yeah.
especially in the summer. Like I find in the summer I probably could.
Mhm.
In the winter,
No, too dark.
girl,
It's so dark.
I can't do the darkness. Can't do the darkness. No. Okay. What is the first thing that you subtracted when you started recovering?
Oh, man. I don't know that there's one necessary thing I subtracted, but I think the first thing was, like, again, yeah. So my first thing was just saying no, and that was at work. So like I didn't subtract like any work at first, but they asked me a lot to like stay late or pick up days and cover extra stuff. And so I subtracted all of that extra that I was like, yeah, okay, I'll do it, or yeah, I can handle it, or yeah, no
You're like,
problem. I
"Nope."
stopped that. I subtracted that, and I was like, no, I'm not available. Like I'm only available for whatever my shift is, and then I'm not available for any extra or any additional. And so that was like the first thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm a big believer in my method. One of my methods is like do one thing less.
Mhm.
So, it's like if you can do one thing less, you're already
Yeah,
taking off that burden of trying to always do more and more and more.
yeah.
One thing the wellness industry gets completely wrong about burnout.
Oh, yeah. A lot of things they get wrong, but I think that the main thing is that it's not really a self-care issue, right? Like, if you take better care of yourself and still have bad systems or bad boundaries or, work in a toxic system, it's not gonna do anything. So, you can always I always say, "Yes, take better care of yourself," but also you have to figure out how the system and you are not working together, whether it's your system at home or your system at work, and figure out how to work better within that system so that you can protect yourself.
Okay. Finish this sentence. Burnout told me I was broken, but actually I was.
Burnout told me I was broken, but actually, I was just like living a lie, really. I felt like I was living a lie that whole time, like the lie that I could just do this and I could push through and I could be successful and it would all gonna be fine and this was just normal. Like all of those were just like big lies to me that I was like living. And after I burned out, I realized like, wow, this is definitely a lie. I don't have to do it this way. I don't have to be this exhausted. I don't have to always say yes and or not ask for help or turn down help. Like all of that's a lie.
Mm, yeah. Okay. What does rest without guilt actually feel like in your body?
For me, it feels like peace, like actual peace, like you're just being like hugged up in a pillow or a cloud. Because you find people like I used to rest, but I would be thinking, right? I wasn't really resting. My body was laying and my mind was working, and I'm thinking of the list and this and dinner and all this other stuff. And now I'm just like I can zone out and be like, and I'm just like floating on a cloud. Feels like absolute heaven.
Yeah. I love that the concept of like single focus
Mhm.
rest, because if you're resting, but your mind is thinking about all the things you should be doing, that's not
Yeah.
rest.
Nope. And do like a little body
Okay.
scan.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God.
I love
I'm
a body. I like okay.
Oh, I love it. Body scan. I'm a big meditator, so, and I love it all. Yeah. Okay, so our last question.
Mhm.
What do you want the woman okay, so let's say there's somebody listening today and they've
Mhm.
recognized themselves in a lot of the things that we talked about. What should they do in the next like 24 hours? Not a 90-day plan, not a 6-month plan, but like what's the next thing they should do?
They should I always say tap in first, right? And so it's just like how are you feeling truthfully? Like if you want to journal or meditate or just reflect, whatever is the best way for you, go for a walk or do an exercise, but like think, like, how do I really, really feel? And when was the last time I truly felt my best, like my most happy, my most rested, my most different types of things? Just try to think of those moments because when you have those to reach back to, it's like, well, how do I recreate that? And again, it's like my first step, like, when was I last really happy? When was I last really rested? When was I last really like content? And when was
Mm.
did I last have a really good, deep laugh? When was the last conversation I had where I walked out feeling better than I entered it? And these are just like, quick little things that you could just think about over the next 24 hours. You're driving to start thinking about these things. That's just kind of where you can start. You can try to just recreate these small moments and kind of figure out what energizes you, what makes you happy, all these things. And you work from there, your dopamine menu.
Oh my gosh, dopamine menu. I love that.
Yeah.
Select one from column A, column B.
Yeah.
All right. So this has been such a fun conversation. I could talk to you for hours.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that folks who are listening are probably wondering, how can I connect with Dr. Nikia? How can I, find her online, maybe work together, maybe check out a retreat? So where can
Yes.
folks get in touch with you?
Yes. So you can find me on my website, www.sheisfireforge.com. I love emails. I don't know if I'm sharing my age with that, but I love a good email. So if you want to email that you heard me on the podcast and want to share your story or talk, it's hello@sheisfireforge.com. And I'm on the social channels at sheisfireforged. But I'm an email girly. I send out my emails, I type back. I want to like hear more about your life and your story and how I can help. And I do have 2 retreats coming up in the fall. So if you're interested in a
Ooh.
retreat, go ahead and let me know. They're on the website, but I can always talk to you more about them more deeply and see if you would feel comfortable, be a great fit. But they're very intimate. We talk a lot of real talk. And like you said, we get to the realness here. We're not doing the superficial, I'm going to
Mhm.
meditate and feel better. Like, no, what is the problem? And how are we going to assess that when we get back and make sure that we continue to take care of ourselves?
Yeah, and I think just as women, we are so powerful and we have so much to offer the world, and we are the future.
We are.
The future is female. And but we can't be burned out if we're gonna, do all the things we need to do to make the world a better place.
Exactly.
So all of this info is gonna be in the show notes. And if you listened to this episode and you enjoyed it and you liked it, please give us a like, a review, a follow. We really appreciate it. Really helps more folks discover the podcast. Share it with a friend who's, struggling, doing all the things, is not admitting she's burned out, but we know, share it with a woman in medicine.
Yeah.
And yeah, and just remember, as always, burnout is not your destiny. It's your wake-up call.